Record producer James Stroud, right here in Nashville, once told me that if 100 great artists all sang the same song, and George Jones was one of them, it's the George Jones version of the song that you would remember. He's 100% right. I absolutely agree. There has never been, ever, a country music voice like George Jones. Well, tonight, we meet the hero of the George Jones legacy, his widow, Nancy Jones. And joining her is Ken Abraham, a New York Times bestselling author who has collaborated with many top celebrities on their memoirs, including Chuck Norris, Buzz Aldrin, George Foreman, and many, many more. He recently teamed with Nancy Jones to write an intimate portrait of her life with her husband of over 30 years, country legend George Jones. It's being released this week, September the 12th. You'll want to get a copy. Please welcome the authors of Playin Possum, My Memories of George Jones, Nancy Jones, and Ken Abraham. Great having you back. Nancy, most people who know the story already know that you're credited with saving George's life and giving us that last chapter of his music and his legacy. Wasn't all easy, was it?
No, and September the 12th is his birthday.
That's why the book's coming out September the 12th.
Right. Well, no, there wasn't nothing easy about any of it. But I felt like that George's fans, you know, there's so many stories of George Jones. Some true, some not true. My God, the guy was a handful, but
That's being charitable, Nancy, I think, by every standard.
I thought it was time to come out with the truth. And I just wanted to tell the truth of George and his my life with him. We were together 32 years, married 30 years, and who else would know George any better than I would?
I heard him sing the song, and it's one of the reasons I mentioned that about James Stroud. When he sang Amazing Grace, I've heard that song 1,000 times, sung by some of the greatest voices. There'll never be another version of it that will work for me than that of George Jones. And it was because, Nancy, he sang it as if it came right out of the depths of his bones. Was that really the transition and transformation of George?
George was raised Pentecostal, his mother, and it really just taught him about the good Lord. And the demons kind of got into George, and at first I was like, okay, we got one out, and then all of a sudden there was another one and another one and another one. So I just felt like that, you know, as long as you would talk to George about God, and you would talk to George about his mother, that was whenever you could get to George. And that was whenever he would calm down and listen. And it's like, well, tell me some more about Jesus. Tell me some more. So those are the things that I have in this book that a lot of people do not know, that George was very spiritual. And he wanted all of these demons gone. But, you know, it's just hard. It was hard to do it on his own.
And I know there were many stops and starts along that pathway, and I'm sure there were times. Did you ever just want to say, that's it, I'm done, I can't keep doing this?
Well, I think at the end, and before he hit that bridge, he kept saying, if you would just give me some time here, I think I can do it. I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. And that was in 1999. So I've heard it so many times that I was like, yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard that before. But as far as giving up, no, I never gave up. I mean, that's not what I think that God put me on this earth for. If you read the book, I had a very troubled, hard childhood. I was abusive, and my mother was. And by the time that I used to sit and think, why? But then I realized God started on me very early. And that was to be able to cope with George and to get those demons out and learn to be the wife that I wanted to be, but I had to get him to be the husband I wanted him to be. So it was hard, and I have to say, I cried a lot writing this book and wondering, oh man, how bad are the fans are going to beat me up on some of the things I said, because I did not sugarcoat it.
You know, Ken, you've written books with so many people that we've mentioned a few, but there are dozens of others. You have such a reputation. When you first got contacted about working with Nancy on this book about George, was your reaction one of, oh boy, I can't wait to do it, or oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to do it?
A little bit of both, actually. There was a lot that I didn't know about Nancy. I didn't know, for example, the abuse that she had gone through with George, and just how she just would not give up. Even though she had every reason to walk away from that marriage, she would not do it. She stayed in there and fought for George because she loved him. I knew that George had a drinking problem. I didn't know that George had a cocaine problem. Many people in Nashville did. I did not know that. So I was learning a lot. But the other part of it was I learned so much about the fun George, the George that had that sense of humor, that twinkle in his eye, the guy who, he was so funny, he didn't even know how funny he was. But Nancy did. And she started telling me some of those stories. We just had a great time putting this together. I think the fans are going to love this book.
I have no doubt. And I don't know of anybody that isn't a George Jones fan. If they're not, they just don't love good country music.
There you go.
But, you know, when I think about all the things that you've been through, you're leaving us the story that we need to know, and a story of a man who also invested in young artists and cared about them. He could have said, no, you know, that's their problem. I don't want to take anything away from my own legacy. He made such an effort to reach out to these young artists and encourage them and help them and advise them. Nancy, it's a phenomenal story. This better become a movie. It just has to be a great movie.
It sure could.
Because there's just very few people that have ever impacted the music world like your husband. May I just say on behalf of all George Jones fans, of which I am one, thank you for giving us the extra years of George Jones' life and career that we would not have had you not been faithful in helping him chase out those demons. Thank you, and God bless you for that, Nancy.
Thank you.
If you head to Huckabee.tv, we'll have links so that you can pre-order this wonderful book, Playing Possum. You can also get tickets to an all-star concert movie, Still Playing Possum. It's going to be in theaters October the 17th. I don't know how busy you are, but since you're clearly slacking off watching YouTube videos, you probably got the time to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell and the like button. That way you get updates on new videos.